Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me and this is the first time you're seeing my face, hello, what's up? My name's Jackie. Welcome to my home. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So I hope that's why you're here, because that's what's going to be happening. If you are not new to me, thank you for always tuning in and the continued support. I really do appreciate it. So today for you, I have my weekly wrap up. I know it's come to you guys a little late. I had some plumbing issues on Saturday, so I didn't get to film this until Sunday, and it's coming up quite late because I had kind of a busy Sunday because I still had to deal with said plumbing issues. But everything's fine now, we're all good. So let's get this weekly wrap up going. This is from May 29th to June 4th, and all my reading stuff and shenanigans in between. So, starting off the week. This was an interesting week, all right? There was some emotional stuff that happened this week. There was some exciting stuff that happened this week. There was some scary shit that happened this week that some of it had bearing on my reading and some of it didn't. So I did not get as much read as I wanted to get read. I did complete one book and I'm damn near finished with the second one, and I did start an Audible book. So we're gonna start with the book that I completed first, and that is Ruth Rendell's The Girl Next Door. This was my buzzword challenge book of May. I had to read a book that had a directional word in the title, and my directional word is next. And I started it in May, hadn't finished it. I was planning on finishing it on Tuesday, and I didn't get to finishing it because this book is, well, I didn't like this book that much. Let's put it that way. I didn't like it that much. But it was so short, and I already pretty much stopped reading A Little Life that I was like, I'm not gonna like just DNF 2 books in a matter of 2 weeks. So I trudged my way through it. I gave this a 2-star, and this is ranked almost like a 4.75 on Goodreads. So there's a lot of people that like this book, and all the reviews sounded really, really good. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The back makes this sound so compelling, like a thriller. I thought it was gonna be the edge of my seat, and I wasn't. And here's why. So, as spoiler-free as I could possibly do this book, there is a murder, all right? The murder happens in the very first chapter of the book. All right, cool, whatever. Except the murder, we know who does it, we know who the victims are, we know what he does with the bodies, and he knows where he puts the remaining body parts that he cuts off for some random fucked up reason. The only thing we don't know is why he cut off the hands, which is the body part that got cut off. Why he cut them off. Why he buried them separately from the body. That's the only thing that we don't actually know as the reader. All right, first chapter. Then we segue like 50-something years, 50 or 60 years, and we get introduced to these group of elderly people. Now, these elderly people were children during this murder, and they played in like what they called the Kanats. I think I'm saying that right. It's spelled Qanats. That's how it's spelled in the book. So I don't actually know how it's pronounced. I think just a made-up word, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. But anyway, they're playing around in these tunnels, which we find out later are like basements for buildings. They just haven't been constructed yet. They're playing around in them, and the murderer sees them, tells them to leave, and then buries said hands in this tunnel. So we jump back forward to where these people are older and they have lived their lives. Some of them have died. A long time has passed. Some of them have passed away. And many of them have kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. So a lot of time has passed, and these hands are discovered. Okay, so we're thinking, okay, now we're gonna figure out how they're gonna learn who the murderer is, because I already know. Maybe it's one of those backwards thrillers where you know what happens, but now the characters have to figure it out. Except that's not what happens in this book. We start getting these individualized stories from these elderly people that were children during this murder, and yes, they're all overlapping, but they don't really have any bearing on their lives. They were all brought together again because of these found hands. That's it. That's their common thread. And in this, there's an affair, there is some deaths, there's some family secrets come to light that we already knew because of the first chapter in the book. And it just, I don't understand what the purpose of this book was. And maybe it's just because it's not my style of book, but it didn't really hold my interest. I had no desire to pick it up. I had no desire to figure out really what happens in the story. There was only one storyline that actually seemed really interesting, and that was the affair. And that was because that guy was a dick. Like, you know, really? After like 60 years of marriage, you're gonna go cheat on your... Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Fuck that. Grow a pair and fucking tell her you don't want to be with her anymore. Like, seriously. Grow the fuck up. You're like 60 years old and you're acting like you're 16. Fuck off. It just pissed me off, you know? So, I'm like, kind of just put a bad taste in my mouth. So, I kind of kept reading the story for her reaction to see, like, is she gonna tell him to fuck off? And she does some crazy shit too, but, like, it just... This book did not... It wasn't for me. It was not for me. But apparently, it is for a lot of people. So, I gave it a 2-star, and I probably will not be keeping this on my shelf. This was on my self-destruct list, so if I didn't read it by March of next year, I was going to unhaul it anyway. Probably still going to do that. It wasn't my cup of tea. Maybe I just wasn't the right mindset for it, but like, it was even blurred by Stephen King. No one surpasses Ruth Rendell when it comes to stories of obsession, instability, and malignant coincidence. Emotional stability, instability, maybe. I could totally see that because all these people are kind of nuts. But obsession? Like, there wasn't a fucking obsession. There was no obsession in this book. At least I didn't see it. I don't know. I only gave it 2 stars though. So if you want to pick it up, give it a try. It wasn't my cup of tea. So that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for this week. But then I did start an Audible book. I started Highland Justice by Heather McCollum. And this is one of my anticipated releases of this month. And I like, but don't like this installment. This is the third installment of the Sons of Sinclair series. I read the first 2 a few months ago. The first one being Highland Conquest and the second one being Highland Warrior. Loved both of those installments. Super steamy, super great. Oh, they were great. I liked those. The Highland Warriors ending was just a little like, what the fuck? Like, that's not actually gonna fucking work. So that was the only thing that kind of bothered me about that one. But this one, it's going really, really slow. It's still good, but it's really slow. A lot slower compared to the other first 2 installments. So the Sons of Sinclair series is essentially like the 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen being of the apocalypse: pestilence, war, famine, and death. There are other meanings and connotations to the 4 horsemen, not just those 4. Those are the 4 most popular. There are other connotations, such as conquest. So, conquering, that's the first one. That was Cain. You have war, which is still the same, and that is Joshua. This one is justice, or normally known as famine, and justice is Gideon. This is Gideon's story with Kate, and Gideon is a very headstrong, black and white kind of guy. There's rules, you follow them. You don't follow the rules, you get the punishment. But in his mind, he is also judge, jury, and executioner. So in his I don't want to say fiefdom, in his area where he is the chief, his chiefdom, if someone breaks the rule, yes, there is a rule, but he's the one that decides what the penance is or the punishment for it is. So many of the townspeople are seeing him more as judgmental, as invoking justice. And it's stated, you know, yes, you're the horseman of justice, but you could be a judgment depending on which side of the justice you're on. And Kate is putting him in predicaments where he has to look at the fact that justice is not black and white. If there is a law, there's a reason for the law. But is the law just in and of itself? Gideon thinks it is, but really is it? Like, can you really make a law binding every single circumstance for somebody doing this? And one of them is her stealing something. She steals some coins from him. She pickpockets him, which is against the rules, and he should punish her for him. But she stole them to buy medicine for her sister who was suffering a fever because she fell into a lake that Gideon actually saved her from. And she would have money and food if the allotment of food and supplies had been given to her, like Gideon had done in the very beginning when he took over this realm. He had supplied everybody with things, but they weren't actually done. He just said it was done, but he didn't actually follow through and check through it. So is it really against the law, or was she doing it because she had to? So he's being put in a lot of these morally gray situations and kind of being forced to see that justice is not black and white. There is a lot of gray in it, and it takes a lot. You have to see both sides. You can't just say, you broke the law, you're done. You have to understand why. You have to understand the motive of it. And so there's different degrees of it. Now, going into this book, the first installment, sex was happening like the third chapter. Second installment, the second chapter. There's 24 chapters in this book. 24. It was not till chapter 13 that they finally hooked up. 13. Half the fucking book. I had to wait for that sex scene. And although it was great, it was steamy. Could have been more explosive. Just saying. Could have been more explosive. So I am not done with this yet. So I'm hoping that it will, now that we've had the first encounter and now we're in this realm of Gideon starting to kind of back down a little bit with his justice, but something has happened where now he has to make the rules. He has to follow through with the laws, whether it's good or bad. The law is in place. He has to follow through it because it does affect his brother, who is the horseman of war. So the tie-in to the previous installment is there. It's come back. And now we're really like trying to figure out the real meat of the issue. It's not just the romance now. It's now getting into the plot of the book. So this one, although a little slower, is picking up, and I'm starting to really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to its conclusion and finding out exactly how all this resolves. But again, out of the three of them, this has been the slowest. And half the book. I didn't want to wait for half the book for this. But thoroughly enjoy the fact that they performed oral sex on a female in this one. The first two installments did not do that. So thoroughly enjoy. You go, Gideon. You're already my fave because you do it. Thank you. So I will let you know my thoughts on that further when I finish it. But right now I am enjoying it. It's just blue balling me like crazy on this one. I'm not a fan of waiting that long. I was not a fan of waiting that long, and the other ones did not make me wait that long. So just saying, yeah. So we're gonna say goodbye to Gideon for a little bit. And the next book I started, and I am almost done, is I picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses. I picked this up Friday evening, and I am here right now. Like, I could not put it down Saturday. Like, while I was dealing with my plumbing issues, this is what I was doing because I had to sit there and listen for the plumbing. Something was overflowing, and I had to do with the plumber and all that, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't really go anywhere. I just sat and read. Oh my God. So let's break this down. Reading this for the SJM read along. I will link that announcement video down below. To read Queen of Shadows, I have to read this one first because we're reading all of Sarah J. Maas's works in publication order, and she wrote this prior to Queen of Shadows. She wrote this in the middle of the Throne and Glass series. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I did know going in, but I actually forgot about it. Once I started reading, I'm like, oh, this is the Beauty and the Beast retelling that Sarah J. Maas did. I remember this book now. Okay. Remember, because I remember my goddaughter talking about it. This thing is fucking awesome. So good. It's a lot more adult than Throne of Glass, so I really did appreciate that. And I love Beauty and the Beast. It's one of my favorites. So having that being retold as well as it's being retold, I was super, super pumped about. So we follow Feyre and Tamlin. Feyre is out hunting and she kills a wolf, but the wolf does not transition back into a human, so she believes it is actually just a wolf. Turns out it's not. It's a fairy. And so Tamlin comes and takes her as part of this treaty that for a life, and offers her a chance to say, you can either die here or you can come and live with me. And she chooses to live with him as long as she doesn't, that's her choice. She chooses to live, essentially. So she goes, and he doesn't treat her like a prisoner. He's very nice to her. He's kind of a sarcastic ass, but you know, whatever. We like the sarcastic assholes every once in a while. And he's nice to her, and over this time, she realizes that there's something going on. There is a spell on his realm. He says that there's this blight coming that has diminished their magic, and he can't remove this mask that he has, so she can't fully see his face. But despite all that, she does start to develop feelings. He starts developing feelings for her, and instead of the classic trope of Belle, who is the big reader when Beast gives her the library, he gives her an art studio because she's a painter. And I thought that was really sweet. I can't relate to it because I'm not a painter, but I thought that was a really nice twist to it. And then you have Lucien, who is from a different fairy court, but is friends with Tamlin and stays with him, who's kind of like the Lumiere. And I see all the tie-ins. Essentially what I'm getting at is all the tie-ins for Beauty and the Beast are there, but the way Sarah J. Maas does it is excellent. It is not a direct ripoff. It's not. What it is a very beautiful homage to Beauty and the Beast. So if you are a Beauty and the Beast fan, you will like this. You will like it because at the end there is this twist that completely takes it from Beauty and the Beast. So we all know that the Beast lets her leave and she comes back. That's where I'm at right now. And it's so fucking good. Oh my God, it's so good. I cannot wait to finish this. I plan on finishing it tonight and just reveling in it. And there's this new character that we're meeting at the end. And I'm just like, I know you're a baddie, but I don't think you're a baddie. Like, I haven't read enough Sarah J. Maas to see her tricks, but I think for some reason this guy's going to be important. And it's either going to be a love triangle, or he's going to do something really cool and badass and like be this big trickster. Like he's going to have this major twist where he's going to say, fuck you to the baddie. And I'm just waiting for it. And he seems gorgeous and he's got these beautiful black silk wings. And I'm just like, yay, yay. I love this. And the first sex scene in this book, oh my God. That was nice. That was nice, Sarah. That was nice. I have to admit that I think the sex scenes are better in this than Throne of Glass. Just saying. But this is, I think it's commonly understood this is the more adult of hers. Like this is more the adult storyline, so she can get away with a lot more. But yeah, the bite scene was great. Reread that one a couple times because it was so well done. So well done. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Very, very much enjoyed it. Was very happy about it. And I'm not even done with this book, but I already know this thing is going to be 5 stars for me, so I'm just going to say it's 5 stars. Not even finished with it and it's already 5 stars. Sarah J. Maas is, every time I read something of hers, it is more solidifying that she is one of my favorite authors. Like she's a top 5. Yeah, she's a top 5 right now. Like right now. And I've only read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is the 5th book I've read. 5th, I would say. Yeah, and yeah, she's already like one of my favorite authors. Like she's top 5 up there. So even though she pisses me off and she like breaks up my people, but this I knew it had to happen because it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I knew that that element was coming in, so I wasn't really shocked when it happened. But what happened after it shocked the crap out of me. Did not see that one. Did not see it coming. And I was like, oh crap. So yeah, loving this one. Loving my read-along experience. This is so fantastic. I'm loving every single second of it. So yes, I kind of had a rough start with this guy, and I had a really slow burn start with Highland Justice, but all in all, I had a good reading week. I did have a good reading week, so I'm not super upset. But that is what I have for you. That was my reading experience for this week. If you like what you see, please subscribe, link, share the whole 9 yards, mark the little bell so you can get reminded when I post. I post every week with my weekly updates, and then sporadically in between. I don't have a really set schedule except for the weekly updates. I'm in the process of working on that. And I want to thank all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much for choosing to want to follow me and listen to me talk about books. Like, that is awesome. People actually want to hear me talk. Thank you so much for subscribing and leaving comments. I love talking with you guys, so please leave the comments. And if there's anything you want to know, I'm an open book. Just shoot me a question. My contact info will be down in the down box below. So thanks, guys, and I will see you guys all soon with another video.